So, last weekend I went to visit my aunt, who, for reasons known only to her, started a knitting circle with her friends. A knitting circle in itself is pretty normal, right? But when I arrived at her house, something felt off. There was an unusual amount of giggling coming from the living room, where the group had gathered. As I walked in, I found them all gathered around what looked like a massive pile of yarn, their eyes gleaming with a mix of pride and bewilderment. It was a sweater. But not just any sweater, it was big enough to fit a small arm. Now, you might be wondering how a simple knitting project could go so awry. Apparently, my aunt had come across a pattern labeled one size fits all and thought it was perfect for the group to work on together. However, no one realized that the pattern was meant for a giant display piece at a yarn festival. They were so engrossed in their knitting, chatting, and the occasional glass of wine that they just kept adding rows without checking the size. By the time they did, it was too late. They had created the world's coziest monstrosity. The sweater was so large that my aunt suggested they all try it on at once, just to see if it could actually hold the entire group. So, there they were, all 7 of them, huddled together inside this gargantuan garment, looking like a strange, knitted caterpillar. As they waddled around the room, trying not to trip over each other or the endless sleeves, they erupted into fits of laughter. No one could deny the ridiculousness of the situation, but it somehow brought them all closer together. It turns out, the sweater wasn't just warm in the literal sense, it was the secret to their warm friendship. And that's how my aunt's knitting circle ended up with a sweater so big that instead of unraveling their mistake, they decided to keep it. They dubbed it the Sweeter Sweater because it was so sweet how it brought them all together, both physically and emotionally. Now, they meet every weekend not just to knit, but to have Sweeter Sweater Saturdays, where the true stitch is the bond they share. After all, when you find a group of friends that fit you just right, why would you ever want to pull the threads apart?